We now move on to the main business, Health and Social Care Bill Programme number 2, and I call Simon Burns to move the motion. That's right.
Mr Deputy Speaker, could you check with the parliamentary authorities whether the monitors are working across the parliamentary estate, because there is only one Liberal Democrat backbencher here, and having laid claim to altering the bill significantly that we're about to discuss, could you check whether the monitors are working? It's very, very important that they're here.
Good try, I think. Let's move on. Mr. Simon Burns.
Mr. Deputy Speaker, I beg to move the motion that stands in the name of my right honourable friend, the Secretary of State. And may I say at the outset, Mr. Deputy Speaker, that given the number of honourable members who wish to take part in this debate, I will only be giving away to interventions briefly and in a very sure number. The vital importance of our National Health Service cannot be overstated, and nor can this government's determination to do everything in our power to make it as good as possible can be for the patients who depend on it. Putting patients at the centre of care, putting outcomes first, outcomes like survival rates, speed of recovery and the ability to lead a full and independent life. The Health and Social Care Bill represents a bold, evolutionary programme of essential modernisation. A programme...
Order. I know passions are running high on this particular programme motion, but it is important that we are able to hear the Minister. Mr. Burns.
Mr. Deputy Speaker, it's a programme that will end the culture of process targets and diktats made by politicians and of putting the convenience of institutions above the needs of patients.
Of order, Mr. Jones.
I thought, Mr. Speaker, we're actually talking about the programme motion. It seems the speech we're getting here is actually a rehearsal of the bill.
Yes.
Mr. Deputy...
Hold on. Keep calm. I am absolutely certain that the Minister is about to move on to the programme motion. Mr. Burns.
Speaker, if the honourable members opposite were more interested in listening rather than trying to be disruptive, then they will find out that after having set the scene, we will be getting on exactly to the recommittal and why we are doing it. A programme which will end the culture of process targets and diktats made by politicians and of putting the convenience of institutions above the needs of patients, replacing it with a bottom-up culture of clinical leadership and patient choice with an unfaltering focus on improving health outcomes. While there has always been widespread agreement around the principles of modernisation, a fact that even the Shadow Secretary of State now accepts, there have been concerns in some quarters that the Health and Social Care Bill could support those principles better.
Of order, Mr. Brennan.
There are those of us who wish to talk about the programme motion we're supposed to be debating, and indeed to intervene on the Minister if he will give way, as he said he would at the outset, on those points. Can the Minister be brought to actually discuss the motion that's in front of the House?
There are several members who wish to participate in this very short debate. It's only an hour. We're now well into that hour. If the Minister could now please go directly to the programme motion.
Absolutely, Mr. Deputy Speaker. And so, because of our commitment to and the paramount importance of the NHS, we decided to take the unprecedented step of pausing at an appropriate point in the legislative process. The